What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel. We are coming at you guys today for another BC Lions preview video. Yes, it is game day. Unfortunately, uploading this one a little bit later than accustomed to. I'm usually getting this to you guys the day before the game, but as you guys can see now here, uploading this Saturday as the Lions play later today. Just with my schedule this week, unfortunately, wasn't able to make it work for the day before. And also, as you can see, riding solo this week. My main man Blake is in the East Coast in Canada. I believe he is in Ottawa by now, but I know he has made his way. I know he went to the Saskatchewan Toronto game on Thursday night. I believe he went to a Blue Jays game as well, and I know he will be in attendance today for the first of a home and home series with the Ottawa Red Blacks. So, first and foremost, hoping Blake is having a ton of fun on his trip and excited for him to be at the game today, meet up with Shane, our friend over at 13th Man Sports, and obviously contributor here on the CFF channel as well. We got a ball game to talk about, folks, and it is a good one to talk about. The Ottawa Red Blacks, obviously, the 6-2-1 record, have really jumped out and started this season off to a very strong start here. I think, not even arguably anymore, but they're probably the second best team in the CFL. That's in my opinion as of now. Obviously, still a lot of things can change, but I think consistently they put it together better than anybody other than not named Montreal. So should be a good one. Week number 12 in the CFL. The BC Lions are a desperate bunch this week, folks, losing four straight football games coming into this one, now dropping the record to 5-5 after being 5-1, losing four straight after and mixing a bye week in there. They haven't had a win in, I believe, almost 6 weeks going on now. It's been a while, and I think it's time for them to bump the slump. I know we said that actually on last week's preview episode as well, but it is long overdue for them to get back on track. And recording this video here Friday night, uploading it to you guys Saturday morning. The Saskatchewan Roughriders took another loss Thursday night, losing by 1 point to the Toronto Argonauts. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers actually late were able to stun the Hamilton Tiger Cats once again. Zach Collaros did not look great, 3 interceptions, but led a game-winning drive late where he found Kenny Lawler for a touchdown, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were able to pull it out, now getting to 5-6. So, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Winnipeg jumps into first place in the West as of now. That can change with the BC Lions win, getting their sixth win here today, but time will tell. Before we get to the preview, folks, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. We just hit 900 followers on the Instagram, so go over there, follow us at Canadian Football Fanatics. We'd be greatly appreciated. As well, we are on Twitter and X at _CF Fanatics as well. And then we're on YouTube, obviously, as you guys are tuning in over there right now at Canadian Football Fanatics. So, please, we're growing, very rapidly right now, and it's been a ton of fun here with all these seasons starting up. U Sports kicking off preseason action here this week. So please like, comment, subscribe, but tell a friend, be a friend, tell a friend. I believe is what Pat McAfee likes to say, and I like to say from time to time. So please spread the word about what we're doing here at CF Fanatics. If you know some Canadian football fans, spread the word, tell them about what we got going on here on a weekly basis. A ton of content getting uploaded. The CFF Weekly Show, as you guys can see down below, every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock Pacific time. Blake and I usually doing a preview and a post-game show every week for the BC Lions, and then a ton of CGFL, BCFC, and VI Raider content here so far, working with the team this season. So keep an eye out for that as well, doing some player interviews, game highlights, stuff like that. So it's a good time, as Shane and I talked to on the weekly show last week. Good time to be a football fan. Super busy, but in a good way. I mentioned to Shane as well. I crave for these moments and times when it's the off season. There's no football, so this is what we live for, I guess, is what they say in the business. So enough rambling, I guess. Let's get into it. I'm not going to stay too long here, folks. Just being a little bit solo, not being able to bounce back and forth with Blake. But that being said, we'd love to hear from you guys down below. Any Lions, CFL fans, throughout the preview video here today. Let me know how you guys are feeling about the Lions, and even about Ottawa. I know Shane might be able to watch this at some point as well. So let us know how you're feeling about the matchup, who you think maybe is going to win, what do you think are going to be some contributing factors, and hopefully, I cover a few of those right now. So let's get into it, folks. I think there's nowhere to start. Let's get into the quarterback. Nathan Rourke obviously was the talk of not only the town, not only BC, but the talk of the CFL when he made the announcement he was coming home last week. Very fast transition, getting cut from Atlanta, comes home, and I was, if you want to say, fell victim to drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, believing that he was going to come in and seamlessly transition. Then I will kind of raise my hand and say, I was right, or sorry, I was wrong. But I think Nathan, knowing the competitor that he is going to bounce back from this. Obviously, didn't look as comfortable as a lot of us anticipated. But I think peeling back the curtain a little bit more and being a little bit more realistic. I know I really tried to do a better job of uh, not being so much of a fan, trying to be more of a realistic, giving a realistic approach from this and giving my actual opinion as well as being a fan. So it's been a hard mix, but me being a big Nathan Rourke fan, obviously first and foremost, was very excited for him to come in mid-season like this and fully believe that he was going to pick up where he left off. Now, I think that might have been a little bit of fool's gold, just considering, what we've already talked about here. We've done a few shows now. Obviously, the Nathan Rourke return news. We did a show, me and Blake, for about an hour, kind of getting our feelings out. We did one as well after the game on Sunday. So we've been talking about it a while, but just to reiterate a little bit, just going through 4 NFL systems in the last year, trying to learn this one, even though it's the same. I think something that Moj Bob Marjanovic, radio analyst for the team, mentioned on, I believe it was BC Lions on Tap this week. Of it's not so much about him knowing the Jordan Maximic system and offense and stuff like that, but it's say that the verbiage is, say he learned to play with the New York Giants a couple schemes ago. That may be the same name or tag as a BC Lions play, and maybe he, for whatever reason on that play, the running back is responsible to pick up, be an extra pass protector in pass protection. So versus maybe in the BC Lions playbook, he's running a route out of the backfield. So just all those tangibles, I think, have to kind of be mentioned when a lot of people are quick to kind of criticize him, dunk on him, all that sort of stuff. So I feel like there's a little bit more context to be had when talking about the Nathan Rourke return. And I think there's been a lot of good um, people out there on social media with their platforms as well, spewing the same, thoughts and kind of telling the people just, give him another week, let him kind of, get his feet under him, if you will, and settle in here in BC. And I think good things will happen. But, last week's performance, I believe 8 of 25, a little over 100 yards. I want to say 120. And then obviously no touchdowns, one interception. Not great, but knowing Nathan Rourke the way I do, I just fully expect him to kind of bounce back in some sort of capacity. Now, how does that look for an Ottawa defense, who is, I would say, top tier, one of the top three defenses in the CFL in my opinion. Montreal, I think, is best in the league. I don't want to say by far, but I would say almost in the category of their own. And then you look at some of the defenses, like Saskatchewan, who's a dangerous defense who takes the ball away. Toronto, I think, is another one who's maybe not talked about as well enough, but Ottawa's up there and has some dangerous playmakers. So I think Nathan's ability to settle in is going to be a huge one this game, and obviously it's been talked about. So I don't want to keep beating a dead horse by any means, but really interested to see how Nathan's able to handle this one. Another short week, only 2 practice days. I think something last week as well is that I mentioned numerous times, but not having any experience with anybody other than Keon Hatcher and Javon Catoy, who Catoy is battling back from injury. Same with Keon Hatcher. The three other starters in the lineup: Aiden Eberhardt, Justin McInnis, and Alexander Hollins. Eberhardt and McInnis were on the team, and Hollins was on the practice roster back in 2022. So still getting reps with them, as well as I believe Hollins missed 2 out of 3 days, and McInnis missed 1 out of 3 days last week at practice as well. So not able to get any reps with those guys as well. And you saw in the game that their timing was just off, and it showed in the game that their rhythm and chemistry just wasn't there. So hopefully they're able to in a short week able to bond that and make some strides in in a positive direction. I know there was some work going on social media. Nathan got the receivers together on their off day and threw at the facility as well. So, just Nathan Rourke being Nathan Rourke. And I'm hoping that that is a going to be a positive outcome from the extra preparation this week. So, enough about the quarterback. Let's let him play and talk some more afterwards. And, rooting for my guy Nathan and hoping he's able to make an impact here for the BC Lions and get them out of this slump that we are in right now. So let's get to the man to his left or to his right, his backfield partner and running back Will Stanback, who's coming on as of late, had a 100-yard game last week, and I think could have had even more if we were in position to win the game or winning the game at all. Icing it away, I think he would have got another, 5-10 carries. Who knows how many more yards he could have racked up in that, opportunity with those opportunities. Excuse me. So curious to see what happens with William Stanback because I think he is a huge factor and huge weapon for the BC Lions, especially with a quarterback like Nathan Rourke who likes to utilize a guy like William Stanback, a running back like William Stanback. We saw with James Butler when he was here in 2022 get a ton of receptions out of the backfield. We saw it last week. Out of 8 of his 25 receptions or 8 of 25 passes, I believe 8 of those completions, I believe 4 of them went to William Stanback, if I'm not mistaken, coming out of the backfield. So not great that 4 of the receptions went to receivers, and that was about it. But with a quarterback like Nathan, who likes to get the ball into their, play like almost like a point guard almost, and get the ball into his playmakers' hands, and let them make plays. With usually his ability of knowing the defense before, his preparation and his pre-snap ability to read and kind of anticipate what the defense is going to be, and he likes to utilize that running back out of the backfield. And I think that's a good thing for William Stanback, who can shoulder that load. And I think is a big key. We talked about it for a few episodes coming into the year. We've talked about it this year during the season that William Stanback can be that game changer. Come when it's dirty football time, when it's late September into October and then into the playoffs and into hopefully November. Even though we're hoping that it's in BC Place, but still that grimy, close type of football where you're going to need a William Stanback to ice some of those games away, whether it's indoors or outdoors as well. So, really excited to see what William Stanback's able to create versus Ottawa. I know they have a nice front, but I believe they are banged up. We'll get into some injuries on both sides a little bit later. But interested to see. I think if the Lions can get into second and manageable, with the help of a guy like William Stanback, could only set them up for success. Even though they've kind of had some of those opportunities in recent weeks, even being in decent field position as well, just not really being able to capitalize on second and manageable or field position. So I think hoping this is the week that they can get out of that slump. So enough about the running back, the quarterback. Let's get into the receivers. And like I mentioned, with the Lions being long overdue for a victory, I think this is long overdue for the BC Lions receivers to get back on track. It's been a few weeks since we've seen them, play to the level that they were to start the season. Obviously, they kind of go with a little bit. They go through the quarterback carousel that they have with VA going down, Jake Delgado is in, Nathan Rourke's in. You know, that being said, I still am very high on the receiving core. I still think I hope I'm not the only one saying this, but I still think it's the best, receiving core in the CFL with, arguably 3 number 1s with Justin McInnis, Keon Hatcher, and Alexander Hollins. I think there was question mark coming into the season without Keon Hatcher is our number 1 on this team. Justin McInnis and Alexander Hollins were able to shoulder that load, prove that they're legitimate, 1,000-yard guys. Even though Justin hasn't done it, with quite as long of a runway as I guess Hollins with Holland's success last year, but still, I think those guys have kind of proven that they're more than just one-hit wonders. I think they can do some big things. So I want to see them get back on track. Then you think of guys like Javon Katori, who's a fourth receiver, who I'm very high on. Obviously, CJFL alum, a guy who I was calling for 1,000 yards coming into the season. I still think it was possible if he didn't get hurt. And then you look at Aiden Eberhardt, number 5, who is as reliable as they come. Great crafty route runner. And like I mentioned, just reliable when the ball's thrown his way. I would like to know his catch percentage, whether it's VA or Nathan Rourke, Jake Delgado. He when the ball's thrown 19's way, he's coming down with it more often than not, and he's a big time weapon that I think could be utilized a little bit more. But it's hard when you have so many mouths to feed, especially with the four guys in front of them. So I think it's time for them to get back on track. Going against the secondary, if Nathan's able to have some time, I think he can spread the ball around. And this is the game that they need to get back going. It's crazy that Justin McKinnon still leads the league in receiving yards. I believe Alexander Hollins is still top five, I believe, even though they've had a tough 4 games here, being really quiet on the stat sheet. It just goes to show how dominant they were there early on. I think they can get back to that form, and we haven't even seen what Keon Hatcher's, able to, and what he's at when he's, I feel like, at his peak and at 100%. I don't know if he's still. I think he's getting back up to speed post injury, but I'm interested to see how these receivers do, especially with Nathan. I think that's still a question mark, considering the chemistry and lack thereof, reps, stuff like that, etc. So offensively, man, a lot of questions. O line, we'll get into that. I think it's the highs and lows, and it's tough to blame the O line, but I think there was some opportunities there for Nathan last week to be in the pocket, make some throws, and he just wasn't able to. So tough to put a lot of blame on the O line. Have they been great? No. Can they get better? Yes. Now, am I gonna drop the hammer on them that they're a majority of the blame for some of these losses? Absolutely not. I think it's a team game, and I think they're a reason they're apart, but I don't think they're the sole reason. I think they can continue to battle week by week and hopefully give whatever quarterbacks in there some time and whatever running backs in there some open lanes to hit and run through and get downhill. So let's get to the defense. I think where it starts this week is the front seven being able to stop the run and Armstead and the Ottawa Redblacks rushing attack. I think kind of came out of nowhere with Armstead being the lead back with Ottawa. Talked about it with Shane this week on the weekly show about going into the season, who would have thought about this scenario? I know Shane being the Ottawa Redblacks fan and media personality now as well, was a little bit I don't know if panic's the right word, but a little bit questioning the depth and some of the players on there, and with your first string and second string guy going down before the season. Rightfully so, some question marks, right? Especially with the CFL short training camp, stuff like that. So question marks coming into the season. Turned out to be a home run. A guy that's going to be, 1,000-yard rusher, I would think. Arguably, maybe about 1,500 yards, all-purpose yards. So, going to be a great season. I think that's where it starts, is stopping the run, which the Lions have struggled in the past, and they are a little bit banged up, playing without Josh Woods, I believe. Ben Hladick will be back in the lineup. Ryder Vargas slide out to play that will position, and we will see from there. We'll get into that a little bit more in depth charts lineups. Excuse me, folks. Little late night edition preview got me a little tired here on the show, so forgive me, folks. But let's get back into it. Stopping the run with BC Lions front seven. Obviously, a little bit banged up. Pete Robertson dealing with foot injury, placed on the 6-game injured list as well this week for the BC Lions. So another bummer, but I think a guy like Josh Archibald is a guy that you'd love to have in there on rundown, stuff like that. So interested to see how they use him and how many snaps he's given in Pete Robertson's absence. But being able to stop the run is huge because making Drew Brown, no offense to Drew Brown, beat you, I think is probably how you want to control this game. I think if Armstead's able to take over, they're able to dictate the pace and really keep that defense on the field. Not really give Nathan the opportunity to get reps, get a feel into the game. I think that's Ottawa's recipe to win, more so than going back and forth. I think I like BC's chances going back and forth, but time will tell. And I think stopping the run is just first and foremost number one priority for the Ottawa Redblacks this week. Getting into the secondary now. All right, this is going to be a very nice matchup to watch from a CFL fan perspective, but a little bit nervous about this one. Lions secondary this year has been all right. I would say they've had some ups and downs. They've definitely, I would say, been hurt by some of these big play opportunities that they give up. Excuse me, folks. What they got? But with the receivers that Ottawa Redblacks have without Khalil Pimpleton as well, who is placed on a 6-game injured list, but a guy that we're very familiar with, Dominic Grimes, who's going to be motivated as heck playing against his former team back-to-back weeks. a guy like Jalen Acklin, who is, I talk about reliable as they come. Jalen Acklin, a guy like Justin Hardy, who's probably one of the more slept on guys in the CFL in terms of receivers. The guy that was 1,000-yard receiver last season. Braylon Addison, the guy that's a playmaker, and then their first round draft pick this past year in Nick Marner out of Auburn University, I believe, a 6'5" skyscraper receiver who can make some plays up there, above the rim, as to say. So going against the secondary, man, from left to right, Gary Peters, TJ Lee. At safety, it's going to be Patrice Rene, Adrian Green, and then Seontae Evans at the field side corner. So it should be interesting to see how that matchup. Holy smokes, third time's a charm for the yawn there, folks. I guess that's a little bit of a sign to maybe not go too much longer, get some Z's here, and enjoy the rest of my weekend and day. Excited for a day of football here Saturday, specifically going down to Victoria to check out the VI Raiders playing the West Shore Rebels. I mentioned on the weekly show it's actually going to be a nice little kind of one into the other, a double header, if you will. I will be on the road, so it will be a little bit of in and out kind of watching, but. Uh, the BC Lions kick off at 4 p.m. Pacific time out west here, so I'll be able to watch the majority of the game, and then the VI Raiders West Shore Rebels game kick off at 7. So we'll be a little bit of a little drive down the island, but we'll be able to watch on the phone hopefully for a majority of the drive, and then enjoy the game. So it should be a good weekend of Canadian football. And then we get into Sunday's matchup with the Edmonton Elks Montreal Alouettes, which I'm excited as well. Let's get into just last kind of final thoughts on secondary versus Rhymes and company. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup and a big test for them to kind of prove themselves. Maybe get an interception or two to build some confidence. TJ Lee obviously got on the board last week with his first interception on a nice, kind of undercut, and was able to pick off Zach Collaros and kind of like a post route from the slot receiver of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Let's hope that the secondary is able to have an impact on this one and make some plays, creating some turnovers, or just breaking up some passes, getting them into first and second and longs, and hopefully getting the defense off the field. I think that's been the biggest problem with the BC Lions defense this year is just the finishing ability and not the lack of playmaking ability. I think they've been fine, haven't been good. I don't think I could go as far to say good. They've been fine, and I think they've been kind of adopted this bend don't break mentality. Now that being said, they give up a few too many big plays in this losing streak now, but I think they have an opportunity to kind of get back on track and be one of those fourth, fifth defenses, middle of the pack, and do enough to help your team get wins, which I think they've done enough to help their team get wins. It's just the offense's inability to get out of neutral basically the last month of the season, which has been tough to watch. So let's get into some injury reports here. Let's start with the Ottawa Redblacks. I believe they're pretty much healthy, other than Bryce Carter, defensive lineman, will be out for them. One of their better players, a All-Star caliber type player, which is good news for the BC Lions. Nathan Rourke, them being without a defensive lineman. And then, like I mentioned a few moments ago, Khalil Pimpleton was placed on the 6-game injured list, the guy that came in and really took over the CFL, and was really, stepped on the scene and was really impressing and wowing a lot of people watching some CFL games, Ottawa Redblacks specifically, making a lot of plays as a very speedy guy. Was placed on the 6-game injured list, so they lose him as a weapon, but going to be pretty healthy other than those two guys out of the lineup here tonight. So let's get into, tonight. Let's get into the BC Lions injury report now, which is not bad. BA is on there, DNP all week. He is listed as questionable, but he is on the depth chart, which we'll get into after this as well. For the most part, it looks like there's only a few guys out. And we talked about him a little bit earlier. Pete Robertson, who had had himself a solid season, got off to a hot start, has kind of came back down to earth and been quiet here the last few weeks. He's dealing with a foot injury and was placed on the 6-game injury list, which is a bummer. And then, big time bummer, friend of the program, guy that we've been rooting for high on since he was drafted, and even before he was drafted, Christophe Boyu obviously came out of the lineup last week, dealing with an ankle injury, was DNP all week, and is listed as out. So other than that, the lines are pretty healthy. Maxim Roy is a questionable as well, but I think he, even if he can't go, is maybe able to tough it out. Or I think the Lions are just going to be fine in that department, being able to fill with a depth linebacker as well. Marcus Moore, unfortunately, a guy that I think is a very serviceable guy. Same with Andrew Pearson, healthy scratches this week. Both guys have full participants in practice, but getting the healthy scratch. So I believe they'll make the trip, but won't be able to dress. So David Mackey, another guy that was limited earlier in the week and with a hamstring injury, but is was full on Thursday and is available for the game. Francis Bemi is interesting. I believe it's basically a healthy scratch as well, but he is listed under the knee injury. He was full both Wednesday and Thursday, but is listed as out as well. And that pretty much concludes the injury report, which is a good thing. It's a short one for the BC Lions. So let's get into quickly the depth charts for the BC Lions here. Not much change offensively. Still the same five starting out offensive linemen from right to left. Right tackle, Kent Perkins. Right guard, Suk Chung. Center, Michael Couture. Left guard, Tyler Packer. And left tackle, Jarrell Broxton, with your six offensive linemen being David Neville, which is a little bit of a head scratcher. I'm not too sure if that goes into his flexibility at tackle at all, but curious why a guy like Andrew Pearson maybe isn't that extra offensive lineman, or a guy like Chris Slugger as well, depending on, I guess, maybe ratio imports and stuff like that, if maybe they needed to just trust another Canadian as well. But Lions are in 10 Canadians, actually, I believe, this week with, what is that? I don't know if the fullback is technically a starter on offense, but it would be six technically on offense with Tyler Packer, Michael Couture, Suk Chung, three offensive linemen, Nathan Rourke at quarterback, Javon Couture at slot, and Justin McInnis at slot as well, with David Mackey starting at fullback, being a Canadian as well. We go over to the defensive, or excuse me, we go to the receivers from right to left. We got Aiden Eberhardt, Justin McInnis, Javon Couture, Keon Hatcher, and Alexander Hollins, with our extras being Terry Williams and Stanley Berryhill III. Our backfield is William Stanback, dressed alone, David Mackey, Riley Pickett, and our quarterbacks are Nathan Rourke, Chase Bryce, and once again, the third string quarterback listed is Vernon Adams. He was listed last week as the third string as well, did not dress. I believe it happened in the Edmonton game last year, I want to say, when Dane Evans went in. Maybe not because we won that one, but I want to say it was that stretch when Dane Evans went in. He got hurt. VA was listed as the third string as well. Wasn't dressed at the time. They went into the locker room. He changed into pads because of the emergency situation. I believe Dom Davis ended up finishing that game, but it was just in case if anything were to happen, they need somebody to be lining up and taking snaps. And VA was listed, so he's able to put on a Superman cape, if you will. Not able to save the game and not given the opportunity, but I think that would be the scenario in this type of game if it were to happen. So knock on wood, it doesn't. But let's get over to the defensive side. Let's start with the secondary this time. Let's go from left to right. Gary Peters in the boundary, TJ Lee at the boundary halfback position. At safety, like I mentioned, Patrice Rene, Canadian at halfback. The field side, Adrian Green, and once again, Seontae Evans lining up at the field side corner, who's been doing a good job there this season. So we have two Canadians starting in the back end with Patrice Rene at safety, Adrian Green at half. We also have at linebacker Ryder Varga, Canadian, starting out of the University of Regina, and out of the University of BC, we have linebacker Ben Hladek starting at middle linebacker once again, being put back in the starting lineup after a few weeks of being banged up. And then at Sam linebacker, we have Manny Rugamba, who's been playing very well. I know he dealt with a little bit of injury there, came out of the lineup, but has been playing very solid football this season. So another four starting Canadians on the defense with six on offense equals 10 Canadian starters, which is pretty cool, but a little bit rare to see for sure. So let's go with the defensive line from left to right, obviously playing without Pete Robertson. So going to be interested to keep an eye out on that and the pass rush being able to get home, create some sort of pressure, as well as stay effective in the run game and run defense. So Sony Tam is going to start at left end. Josh Banks will start at defensive tackle. It says Marcus Moore is going to start, which is maybe I didn't look at that. Let's see. So I'm guessing he's actually going to start. My apologies on the healthy scratch. I'm guessing was last week. Marcus Moore will get the start back in the defensive tackle position, and Jonah Tobias is going to start at the defensive end position opposite of Sione Tama. I would imagine Josh Archibald will get a good amount of reps in there as well, with Christian Covington being a backup in that defensive tackle rotation, as well as Thibaut Tobaye. I love the strength up front, but would love to see Christian Covington take over this game and be a little bit more of an impact player. So that's injury report. That's depth charts, folks. We've talked about offense. We talked about defense. Talked about a little bit about the matchup. Let's get into some three keys here and kind of wrap things up here for I yawn anymore, because it's getting late and I want to enjoy this day, get a nice good sleep in me, and should be a fun day of football ahead. So let's get into my three keys to success for the game. I know I've stopped it here as of late, but wanted to just get back into it just for this video here. Not too sure if Blake was going to be able to upload his as well, just being busy on vacation and stuff like that. So I'll give you mine. My first one is stop the run, obviously with Armstead. I mentioned that quite a bit there early on in the video. Stopping the run is going to be huge. Not letting him take over, not letting Drew Brown be in second and manageable, as well as putting some pressure on Drew Brown to shoulder the load, not let Armstead get going, so that they have that guy to kind of lean on and be a little bit of a pain in the butt of the BC Lions defense. And the Lions struggling in that department of stopping the run as of late. I think easy first one for me, stop the run, which arguably maybe not an easy one when you think about the second one here. And I'm going to mention the offense needs to get back on track. Talked about the team getting back on track. It's time for the offense to get going offensively. It's been, like I mentioned, with the receivers, offense. It's been just long overdue. The team to find its old identity, especially offensively, they just look like a shell of themselves. And I think that is key. Number two, the offense needs to get going and carry its weight, because the defense has kept them in some games here for the last few weeks, but the offense needs to do its job here today. So let's get to the last one, and that is to stay composed late. Both teams have played in close ball games this season. One wins and losses. Lions were taking advantage of it there early on. Same with the Ottawa Redblacks. I think the BC Lions have showed a lack of composure late in the last few weeks and need to do better in that department. That starts with Coach Campbell, his leadership, his direction at practice, stuff like that. So three keys, just to recap them quickly. First, stop the run. Get going offensively is number two. And stay composed late is number three. Three keys to success for the BC Lions today versus the Ottawa Redblacks. That will pretty much wrap things up, folks. I'm going to be ramble for a few more minutes here, but excited for this one. Going to be a fun matchup to watch here tonight. The 5-5 BC Lions traveling to the 6-2-1 Ottawa Redblacks. The game kicks off today, Saturday, August 24th. Game time is a 4 o'clock kick out west, 7 o'clock Eastern. Should be a good one. The Lions need to be the more desperate team. I think both teams are um, upper echelon teams, even though the Lions haven't proven it. So looking forward to this one being a heavyweight type of matchup, maybe a preview for what's to come in a potential Grey Cup matchup. I know that's still a long ways away. Everyone's talking about Montreal in the East and then everybody else, but stranger things can happen. You never know. I like Ottawa's team makeup, and I put them in that kind of category a few weeks ago and was pushed back a little bit by Shane, a little bit by Coach, but I think if they're able to pull off some of these wins, it being a home and home with BC, they could really pick up some steam and be taken seriously here in the CFL. So excited for this one. It should be a good one. Hoping the BC Lions can pull this one out and get a win, get off the streak. I obviously picked them this week on the weekly show, but this is a huge stretch ahead, folks. To wrap up the season, or excuse me, to get going into the back half of the season. This is an important one with Saskatchewan losing, Winnipeg winning. We stay, level with Saskatchewan, which is good news. But Winnipeg now is in full-born resurgence mode. They are coming for the, and well within reach of getting that first place finish. Now that they have the season series over the BC Lions, the BC Lions now have to finish with a better record than the Winnipeg Blue Bombers if they want to have home field advantage over them in a playoff series. I think it just starts with one game at a time here, and you need to be the desperate bunch. I talked about, it would be a good thing to split, go 1-1 with Ottawa Redblacks over the next 2 weeks. I kind of changed my mindset there after I thought about it. We need to be greedy. We need to be the more desperate team, as I mentioned. Go get 2 victories here. Go to 7-5. You can't go to 6-5. You really don't get any momentum. You just are right back in the same place you were. And who knows what Winnipeg and Toronto, or excuse me, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan have done in that time. Even let's maybe throw Edmonton in that category if let's TBD. Let's see what they can do with Montreal on Sunday. But if they're able to pick up a win, who knows? Crazier things have happened. Maybe they're able to kind of get back into contention here now in the West as well, and be a pain in the backside of BC and Saskatchewan and their playoff hopes. So things are heating up. We've said it in a few weeks here on the show now. Getting to Labor Day here next week. CFL Hall of Famer when Andrew Harris joined me said, the season doesn't start till Labor Day. I never believed that sentiment until I heard it from his mouth. But I'm a believer now of the season kind of fully get going, and it should be a interesting time in the season, a fun and very exciting time to cover, watch CFL football. So should be a good one, folks. Last reminder before we get out of here: like, comment, subscribe if you guys enjoyed today's video. Like I mentioned at the beginning, comment down below throughout the video if you guys thought you disagreed with one of my points, thought that thought a little bit something different or agreed. Let us know down below in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you guys down there below. Please like the video. You guys do a good job at that. And then most importantly, follow and subscribe to the various channels, the CFF network. So that is at Canadian Football Fanatics on Instagram and YouTube. Please get us to 1,000 followers on Instagram. We just broke 900. And then on the YouTube channel, we are closing in on 230. Our goal is to get to 250 here pretty shortly. So follow us and subscribe. When you guys subscribe, please hit the notification bell. You guys will get notified every time we go live or upload any sort of content, like some videos like this one. And stay tuned, folks. Going to be doing some vlog type content down in Victoria during Touchdown Pacific. Should be a good time. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you guys have the notification bell turned on so you guys don't miss out on any of those videos. So all the support has been greatly appreciated. We will see you guys as always. You guys can see us on Wednesday. There is no post-game show this week, unfortunately. Blake and I will try to work things out to do maybe one Sunday afternoon and upload it as a video type, nothing live. But the next time you guys will see us live will be Wednesday night, 6 o'clock sharp, as always, for the CFF Weekly Show. We appreciate you guys for tuning in here today. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we'll see you guys on the next one.